everyone. This is Balaji from Guindy Times, the official campus magazine of CEG, ACT, and SAP. Today, I'm honored to interview Sara Aafreen, who is an amazing person and a software engineer at Finews. She is currently pursuing her master's in the University of Edinburgh, and she did her UG in ECE at the College of Engineering, Guindy. Hi, Sarah. Hope you're doing good. The first and
Hello.
foremost question I would like to ask you is what drove you to choose this particular course for your master's in the University of Edinburgh?
So I was very keen on this course. I'm doing an MSc in computer science at the University of Edinburgh. And as you've already mentioned, I have a background in electronics and communication. So I was looking for a coursework that was very flexible in terms of the courses that they offer, in terms of the subjects that they offer. And the course structure and the outline that was put forth by this university was very appealing in that aspect. So in terms of flexibility, it was very nicely put, and that is what drove me to apply here in the first place. So I have the liberty to choose a certain number of credits across the informatics school in itself. So the computer science course is offered by the School of Informatics, the University of Edinburgh. And I have a bulk amount of credits that I can choose across the department. And that sort of flexibility is what really appealed me towards applying for this in the first place.
Okay, Sarah. While getting the right inspiration is a good thing, we also need to know what are the requirements that we need to satisfy in order to have a good chance of getting into the university. So, what are the requirements that you think are crucial for getting into this particular varsity?
So requirements wise, it is very specific when it comes to the college. So most of them have a basic set of requirements in terms of having a good GPA and in terms of meeting their English language requirements, which you have multiple options to clear those requirements. In terms of English language, you have a lot of exams such as TOEFL, you have IELTS, and then you have exams offered by the university itself, if in case you can't avail these two, and that is specific to a university. So these are like a basic set of criteria that you have to complete in order to apply to them. But in specific for the computer science course, they prefer people from a computer science an undergrad in computer science, or from someone from a math intensive engineering background. Those were their prerequisites. So anything that is related to math and engineering degree, which has got considerable amount of math coursework in your undergrad, or a computer science UG degree was preferred for a computer science master's.
Okay. So could you talk to us about the timeline which you used for this rigorous application process of your MS?
So timeline again is something that is very specific. So most of these colleges, they roll out their deadlines that is very college specific. So if you're targeting the US, for example, their first slot gets over by December, the mid of December, the beginning of December for that matter. So if that's the case, you really need to start early, and you should be prepared with, all your documentation at least by November. So you can quickly target those deadlines in the first place. So this is very college specific. For Edinburgh, thankfully, so they were taking it on a rolling basis, and that stretched down up to March. I think it was the end of March. I'm not very sure because I applied the 2019-2020 intake. This was around the end of, so there's open sometime in November and ends by March, and it happened on a rolling basis. So once they're filled out, then it's all out. Sometimes they also have if last year I believe they had a policy where they had like a strict it was not rolling basis, they had like a definite deadline. It ends on so and so date, you can apply until then. So that is, the timeline is something that people should be prepared on based on the college deadlines that they need to watch out for depending on the college they're applying to.
Okay. So have you done any projects or internships or written any research papers that could have increased your chances of getting into the university?
So I applied for a taught master's because I didn't have the intention of pursuing a PhD after completing my master's. I wanted to enter the industry. So there are two kinds of masters. You can apply for a research master's or a taught master's. And research master's usually gives you a leverage, a head start if you're targeting a PhD. And for the kind of masters that I applied, a research paper wasn't necessary. Although I did highlight my final year project in because it was a crucial aspect of my application. Apart from that, there wasn't any specific research paper that I had worked on for the application because it was a taught masters. It wasn't needed for me.
Okay, so could you explain about the characteristics that these kind of top tier university look in a candidate, especially in writing the letter of recommendation?
So in terms of characteristics, so once you meet their entry level criteria, their basic set of criteria, I guess ultimately it boils down to your SOP and how you express yourself in your SOP. So that is again very subjective to each college. So you cannot say, I cannot give you a set of hard and fast rules that you satisfy to get into this college. So it really boils down to how nicely you express what you've got in your SOP. So they're not expecting your life story here. They're looking for who you are and what you've done so far and how you're best fit for this program. So as long as that nuance is captured in your SOP, I think you're good to go. As long as you've made that point clear, you've clarified. I mean, you've expressed yourself well in terms of that aspect, and the college has gotten that part. I think you should be fine. You should be good to go. I don't think it makes sense for me to give you a set of a criteria as such, because it's very dependent on the college. It's very subjective.
So this one is a personal question. So what was your first reaction when you came to know that you got MS in the University of Edinburgh?
I was definitely happy. It was one of my first options. I was definitely happy. And I told you, I was really inclined to the college because of the coursework that they had to offer. So I was really looking forward to, making use of this opportunity.
Yeah. So do you think the pandemic has changed the application process in any way?
So I'm not very aware of how it has changed for Edinburgh as such. I don't think there has been a significant change. But if you look at other countries, I think last year the GRE was waived off for places in the US. For most universities in the US, the GRE is the entrance exam that people, it's a quants and verbal entrance exam, graduate record examination that people give. Most colleges have that as an entry level requirement, your GRE scores. That was waived off in a lot of universities is what I heard. I'm not sure if it is back this year. I think that is also something that people will have to watch out for. In terms of the pandemic, in some places, I think it was easy, but in Edinburgh in particular, I don't think there was much of a difference.
Okay. Yeah. So as we near the end of this interview, this will be our last question. So what do you think, what is your view on GT's PG admission interview series like this?
It's a very nice initiative. It's definitely a very nice initiative. It's opening up. It's people who are already there. So juniors get to listen to the experiences of people who are already there. So they know for real what's happening. So that obviously really opens up their perspectives, and they get a nice direction on where to head next. So it's a very appreciable initiative by GT. Kudos, guys.
Thank you, Sara. On behalf of GT, I would like to thank you for spending your valuable time in providing this insightful information, which will be useful for those who are applying for masters. I hope the viewers understand the effort behind getting into a top tier university like University of Edinburgh and many other universities. So thanks for watching, guys.